I think this is maybe a lesson in humility for this prison, the prison guards, and the prison warden. Obviously this prison has been thought of as this fortress of security. In 1962, 3 men vanished from Alcatraz. They made dummy heads, built a raft from raincoats, and disappeared into the night. For decades, everyone thought they drowned. But in 2014, Dutch scientists changed everything. Their water models showed the men could have survived if they left at exactly the right time. Then came a letter claiming to be from one of 3 inmates. Finally, in 2020, facial recognition matched them to a photo from Brazil. This is how the story of most Alcatraz escape ended. Franklin Morris was born on September 1st, 1926 in Washington, D.C. But this wasn't the start of a happy life. It was the beginning of a long, lonely path. His parents left him when he was still a child. He didn't get love, guidance, or even a stable home. By the time he was 11, he was officially labeled an orphan. From that moment on, he was passed around like luggage. Foster homes, institutions, reform, schools. It never stopped. That became his normal, just rules, punishments, and empty walls. But Frank was different. Despite the chaos around him, he had something rare. He was smart. Really smart. His IQ was 133. That placed him in the top 2 to 3% of people. He was nearly a genius. He could understand complex machines just by looking at them. He had sharp memory, perfect for solving problems. And he wasn't just book smart, he was street smart, too. He learned skills like shoe repair and mechanical drafting while locked up. But, more importantly, he learned how systems worked and how to beat them. At age 13, Frank entered the criminal world. On November 13, 1940, he was convicted of theft and sent to the National Training School for Boys. His sentence, 6 years, 9 months, and 18 days. That was harsh for a teenager, but it set the tone for his life. He got out early, but it didn't last. He violated parole and went right back in. That would happen again and again. Brief freedom, then more time behind bars. By his late teens, things got worse. His crimes got more serious. Between 1945 and 1948, he served his first adult sentence at Louisiana State Penitentiary. He was barely 19. After his release, he didn't slow down. Less than a year later, he was back inside, this time in Florida. He broke into a place and got caught. In 1952, he got a 10-year sentence for narcotics, possession, and armed robbery. While serving his time there, Morris pulled off something that shocked the prison system. He escaped. It wasn't luck. It was strategy. He studied the routines, learned the patterns, and found the cracks in the system. And then he slipped through them. This escape didn't just buy him freedom, it earned him a title, escape artist. He stayed on the run for about a year. But Morris couldn't stay clean. He got caught again, this time during a burglary. That arrest changed everything. The authorities knew they had someone different on their hands. Someone who didn't fear rules or walls. They didn't want to take chances anymore. So they sent him to Alcatraz, the most secure prison in America. Meanwhile, John England was born in 1930. His brother Clarence came a year later in 1931. They were raised in Donaldsonville, Georgia, right in the middle of the Great Depression. Life was hard. Their parents had 14 children and worked on farms, picking whatever crops they could find. The family kept moving to survive. But through it all, John and Clarence stayed close. They did everything together. What made them different from their other siblings was how good they were in water. Even as kids, they would swim in Lake Michigan, even when there were chunks of ice floating. They didn't care how cold it was. They just swam. That toughness would matter later. In the 1940s, the family left Georgia and moved to Ruskin, Florida. It was a small farming town near Tampa. They hoped the fields in Florida would give them more steady work. The family still struggled, while other families across America started buying cars and houses after the war. The Englands stayed poor. They picked tomatoes and tried to get by. That constant pressure, the feeling of being stuck, probably made crime feel like an escape. John and Clarence didn't want to work their whole lives in the fields like their parents. They wanted out, and soon they found their way. Every summer the Anglins followed the crops. They'd drive from Florida all the way to Michigan. They worked in cherry orchards and fruit farms. The trip was long, over 1,000 miles, but they did it every year. They lived in small camps, sometimes in tents, surrounded by other migrant families. The boys learned how to survive on the road. They figured out how to stay invisible. By the time they were teenagers, they could read highways like maps. They knew which towns to avoid, how to blend in, and where to hide if they had to. This lifestyle didn't just make them good travelers. It made them think like escape artists. They didn't get attached to people or places. That kind of mindset would help them later when they'd need to disappear without a trace. Their first crime came early. Clarence was just 14 when he broke into a gas station. It wasn't much, but it opened the door. Soon they started robbing businesses. But they weren't reckless. They only hit places at night. They planned every move. They studied buildings, mapped exits, and avoided people. They knew how police worked and made sure to stay one step ahead. Then everything changed. It was freezing cold on the morning of January 17th, 1958. In a quiet town called Columbia, Alabama, three brothers walked into the Bank of Columbia. They weren't wearing masks. They didn't try to hide their faces. They just held out their pistols and told the bank clerk, Mr. Williams, to open the vault. These men were John, Clarence, and Alfred England, part of a poor family with 14 kids. They didn't scream. They didn't panic. They just pointed the gun and got what they came for. Inside the vault and cash drawers, they grabbed $19,000 in cash, which would be worth about $174,000 today. They also took some jewelry, but in their rush, they missed another for $1,000 sitting right there in the vault. They didn't notice. They ran out fast. Incredibly, this was the first time that bank had ever been robbed. A local historian later said the vault door wasn't even locked, just closed. That's how easy it was.